Nope. Where is it? Let's see. All right, Matt. Do you see the
I got you.
intro?
You
Or
ready? Yep, I got it. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Whoa! It's the Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by
This
the
is the
fans.
Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by the fans.
Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by the fans.
All right, guys, you're watching the Frickin' Frack Show podcast for the
fans by the fans.
I love you.
woo! What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, what's happening? How you doing on this fine, Thursday night?
It is a Thursday night, man. We've been filming a lot of Thursday episodes, man, but that's when usually the greatest guests come on.
And I'm excited. It's we watch that video, and every so often we kind of get this idea to revamp things, right? To kind of go left instead of right to see how things turn. And, we're working on a new intro, new music for it. We've got new guests lined up. And what better way to guess who we've been trying to get on, and things have been happening, and then COVID kind of hit and shut things down. So what better time now to bring on our next guest, Miss Rose. Hey.
Hi. Hey guys.
Woo! Welcome to the show, Miss Rose. How's it going?
Everything's great. It's late. I don't have to put the kids to bed tonight, so I'm talking to you guys.
Ooh, we got you out of that, didn't we?
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
Every time we shoot one of these on a weeknight, it's like, all right, we're driving to go get the kids, driving straight back to the house, doing homework, getting food in, and then I'm running downstairs to see if the internet works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So we're winging it.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do, man. Especially when everything is virtual. We have not really, I guess I've done a couple interviews at different events, but we have not been together and actually done an interview in person. It's all been virtual, and I'm very thankful for virtual because without anything virtual, without StreamYard or social media, this podcast would definitely not have been possible.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Let's go back before the social media. Let's go back before what we now know as the business. I mean, back then, when everybody kind of got their start that we look up to today, things were different. Can you take us back before times or what they are now, and kind of how you got your start from a little bit?
Sure. Do you mind? He said, "Where you get your start?" And what was the next question? He's cutting out.
He cut out really bad.
Yeah.
Just go back when you were in school.
Yeah. So go ahead and just take us back to the beginning. All right. So tell us. Yeah, not the beginning of your life, because we can talk a whole lot about how you don't remember anything like being a child. But take us back to the early days of, let's just say, of your childhood and the start of your music.
Sure. So for me, music kind of started with poetry, which I started writing poems because I hated school. Like, kind of just was just one of those weird kids that didn't really fit in, kind of sort of did, but not really, and just didn't like it. I mean, I was all right at it, but I found that I was kind of depressed, started struggling with that. And so I started writing poetry. And my dad is a songwriter. So I was probably about 12 years old, and I just came out one night. I need to probably mention my dad raised me. My mother died of breast cancer when I was 4. And so it's just always me and my dad. But right. So I came out, my dad's sitting in the living room, and I just was like, I wrote a poem. I want to write a song. And he was really shocked, because if he had suggested it, I definitely would have been resistant. So it's just kind of who I am. There's a wait, for me to come to him. And to be honest with you, we started writing like from that night, that poem, and then the songs that we wrote within that little maybe year's worth of time ended up being on my first record. So it all went really fast. Ended up signing with Columbia when I was about 14. And
Wow.
yeah, it was really cool. And I can tell you that story if you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, we definitely do. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. So basically, we were kind of, I was totally never even crossed my mind, like the thought I want to get a record deal. I was just writing songs, singing. Now I've lived in Nashville for a long time. You're surrounded by people who constantly like want a record deal, right?
Yes.
I had no idea. I just had no idea. I just knew I had to sing and I had to write songs. And so we started taking some meetings, and every meeting was like, yeah, we want to do this. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I was so young and was writing these songs. So eventually that brought us to Columbia Records. And I've always been probably considered pretty introverted for an artist, pretty shy. And during that meeting, they were very late. The people that were supposed to be in that meeting were super late. And I started kind of freaking out. Like I'm sweating, like I'm freaking out, right? And so when they finally do come like 2 hours late, it was like all these men in suits. And I'm a 14-year-old girl with my dad. And I'm like, all right, I need to leave for just a second. And so I went to the bathroom, and in the bathroom, I met this woman. And she ended up being this woman named Teresa LaBarbara Whites. And she's an amazing woman and a big part of like the pop music world. She discovered Destiny's Child. And
Come on.
Yeah. So it was just like a chance meeting. She wasn't supposed to be in my meeting. But when she ran into me in the bathroom, she was like, oh, are you she's a mom. She's great. And she's like, are you okay? Like, obviously I was in distress. And I was like, no, like they were really late to my meeting and blah, blah, blah. And so she became kind of invested in this, and she came back to the meeting with me and asked if she could sit in. And then my dad played guitar and I did my thing, sang my songs. And after that, she fought for me. And, she was like, I want to sign her. I want to make this record. And so it was really amazing. It all just happened, without, it just felt like what was supposed to happen, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. So, when it comes down to your early start with this, what was the, let's talk about this for a second, but what was the most critical thing that you would consider at that time, like, about yourself?
Like, you mean like what didn't I like about myself?
Yeah. Was there like, first of all, did you ever kind of like, have any doubts or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to this day, I still struggle with live performance because I just get nervous. It's like I get nervous leading up. It's leading up to it. I'm always nervous. I get this like, oh my gosh, like, and I just have to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. But then when I'm there, like in the moment, I've always had this thing that just like it's like it feels like magic because it just like turns on, and you can't make it happen. It's just. And it surprises me every single time because I find myself in the middle of this moment on stage and I'm like, it's working, it's happening, like I'm doing it again.
That's cool.
It's like, is this gonna be the last time? But yeah, that's the hardest part for me. And everybody's got their thing. That's just me.
So I was listening backstage. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're back, it seems. for now. Anyways, do you think that feeling before you go on stage, that those nerves and, kind of maybe being in your head a little bit, do you think that drives you in a way? I mean, that has to be an incredible feeling to know, all right, I'm going to overcome this again and I'm going to go out.
Sure. And it definitely drives my writing, because it's like a little bit torturous. Like it's, so I find the need to, express myself a lot, and write about the drama that I put myself.
So I read online, leading up to this, like people like Lady A and Faith Hill. I mean, that writing for those type of incredible, powerful women who have overcome tremendous boundaries to get to where they are. And by women, I mean a group in that sense too. Right. But that's got to be such an incredible, fulfilling moment in your life when that happened.
It is, and it's so validating. Because I can kind of detach from like all my feelings and my insecurities and be like, okay, I wrote this song. They sang it. Like my first number one was with a guy named Eric Pasley. It's called Friday Night. And it just felt like it was like I could actually claim it and say, yeah, I did a great job on that, because it was actually him that did it. So,
yeah, I mean, we're all about lyrics,
Yeah, my thing is songwriting first. That's what I love. That's my passion.
Yeah, that's and you're right. You're telling a story, and no matter who's singing it, I mean, if it's sang the right way, that story is beautiful, and it's a journey. And I kind of want to get inside that mindset for a minute. I mean, can you walk us through your process for songwriting?
Sure. It's different every time. I'm lucky to live in Nashville. I think Nashville is a place like no other. I would like to move at times, especially real estate is crazy here right now. But what happens here, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with how it works, but basically if you have a publishing deal, your publisher, or even if you don't, you can do this on your own. Your publisher will set you up on different writing appointments. So like I'll look at my calendar this week or next week and I'll see like me and two dudes, or me and this girl and another dude, or like, and sometimes it's people I know and sometimes it's people I don't. And so I get in the room and you just kind of feel out the room. You're like, am I the leader today? Does somebody else have a great idea today? And you have to learn how to like walk that line and find the balance, and also be able to like receive gifts, because sometimes you're not the person that comes in that day with this incredible idea, but somebody else is. And you're like, you have to be okay with that. I'm just going to support this idea and know my role for the day. I'm not always co-writing. Some of my songs, I write alone, and those are the ones that kind of feel like they just come from God. Like they're effortless. They just fall into my lap, and it's the best feeling in the world, but it doesn't happen all the time,
Yeah.
Man, that's so much goes into it that nobody knows about. And it's a lot of hard work to collaborate on something that you hope is going to get out to the masses. And it can't be easy, I mean, just going off of this, for example, it took us a little bit to be able to read each other and go off of each other's cues and know who's on and who's not, and whose internet's going to work and whose isn't. Usually it's mine. So usually it's mine that's not. I'm sorry.
It sucks when it's your brain and not the
internet. Do you have like a favorite co-writer that you write with?
Yeah. I have like a handful of favorites for sure. I don't think you know any of them, but
that's all right.
Besides my husband, we love writing together.
It's a trick question.
But we love writing together, and like we have really developed our way of writing together. He is a very slow songwriter, normal songwriting hours for like a person who is a blue collar songwriter would be like go in at 10:30 or 11 and you write until around 3 in the afternoon. And yeah, and you call it a writing appointment. It's like a real job, but kind of it's really fun. And Rodney he wants to write the same song for like 4 days, but I'm more like a 4-hour writer, but like, so I've learned though, and I love what I've learned from him, to really dig in, and I'm willing to do that with him because I've written some of the best songs I've ever written. One is on his last record, and it's called My Life, and it's so when my grandmother passed away, she was unable to speak, but she could kind of like say, write water on like a little piece of paper or food or whatever. And the last thing that she wrote out to my granddad before she passed was, I loved my life. And wow. It was really, really incredible because, yeah, she was an orphan, and she ended up having this beautiful family of 5 kids and a marriage that was, I don't know how long, 67 years long.
Very long time.
Yeah, a long time. And to make that into a song is so heavy. It's like, whoa, like it's such a big assignment, and you don't want to mess it up. So that's something, Rodney and I did together with another writer, and I would only trust him with that.
Yeah.
Golly, that's man, and to put it on paper, like for you to tell that story, you're right. That's trust. That's a lot of trust.
Yeah. And he killed it. You can hear it on his record. So good. I love it.
We'll definitely be sure to listen. Because we're big fans. I always say, I think the discovery of you for me was back in, I don't know, was it 2003, 2004?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It seems like forever ago. I mean, I want you to throw it back with me real quick because I truthfully, I'm very excited about having you on this show. I think it's a very exciting thing for me, but also just for us in general, because we always just, there's certain things and certain people in your life that like impacts you in some kind of way. And as a child, the thing that always, I wasn't the most reachable child as a kid. And I don't ever open up about stuff like this. So this is like real, but like I was very difficult, for a lot of reasons. And but the thing that always reached out to me easily, I'm talking about just broke through every wall that I created, was always music. That's awesome. And I'm sure it's probably the same thing for you. Like, music was like, that wall breaker in every sense. Yeah. And there was a movie that came out, and it was Inspector Gadget. It was a second one, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. See? Yeah. See? I want you to throw it back to me then. I want you to tell me your memories of like, of that time.
Sure.
What you were doing in your life and how that came about.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. I had kind of made this whole record, and I thought it was like I considered myself like this troubled, like angsty songwriter, right? And had made this whole record that was like that pretty much. But then I got this assignment. I got this letter back before email, I guess. Surely for some reason I can literally remember having this hard copy of this letter from Disney in my hand. Wow. And it said that they needed a song for Inspector Gadget 2. And they were pretty specific about like kind of the general idea of what they wanted. But I wasn't like guaranteed the job. It was just kind of a try this, and we're letting a bunch of other people try this. And so I wrote it. And like, basically, I guess they loved it. And my whole record had been this like really expensive like record we made more than once. We made it twice to get it right, and this big process. But that song we cut like in our friend's studio in his bedroom, like at his house. You know, it was so fast, so easy. You know, not expensive.
One take.
And so it was like, all right, we did it, you know? And I just had no idea that that was going to be so defining, of that record in a way. And then, like, me, I was like, I didn't really, at the time, like, I thought I was, maybe a little too cool. Like,
I was going to ask you about that, but okay. Go ahead and just open up.
well, no, I was like, what? I just was like, oh my gosh, like I made this whole beautiful record, and now like all I'm hearing is this song and me jumping on the bed, which was totally my idea. I just didn't know, you know, I didn't know it was going to be such a big thing.
Yeah, it was Rose. It was a very big thing for me.
Like, I don't even think I realized how big of a thing it was until, like, fortunately I did make a living off of that, which allowed me then to like continue doing what I loved instead of, actually there's more to that, but I'll get back to that.
Tell us more.
No, because I heard the guy from LFO saying earlier, we were popular but poor. And that was kind of me, because I worked at O'Charlie's when that video was out on Disney Channel, and I was waiting tables, and people were coming into the restaurant and being like, this one lady, I just remember, she thought her son was nuts. She was like, I think I know this isn't true. He saw you on the Disney Channel. And I'm like, standing there with my honey mustard stained white shirt, you know. He rolls every time I go back to the kitchen. And I'm like, yes, that's me.
Wow.
It was also weird because like my song, another one of my songs was on the CD that like restaurants would have these CDs that they would just play all the time, like the same 12 songs over and over, because they paid for this service, and I was on there. It was the weirdest thing, you know. And meanwhile, the only place I could hear my song was like on an AM radio station on Radio Disney. I'd have to like drive, like your internet. I have to like drive and just wait, like to hear my song, like all fuzzy coming through, because I didn't have cable TV. Like, so it's just, it's an interesting ride.
Yeah.
But eventually that song, you know, was in a lot of commercials, a lot of movies, had some really huge
That's right.
And I was able to make a living and support myself and be able to just write songs and not have to have, you know, another job.
Or any honey mustard stains.
Yeah.
No, we still have those. We still have those.
Yeah, I definitely do, which is why I'm always wearing a jacket. Even now, I'm so used to it. You know, I bake a lot of cheesecakes, and as you can tell, I got some stains here, everywhere. You know, I don't wear even shirts most of the time because I'm always going to get them all messy. And...
Yeah, I was disappointed. I heard you were not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, well, actually, we got these new shirts in today.
Oh, those are cute. I like that.
We just got them in today. Matt's is on the way, so he'll be wearing his. But he's got one too. He's got one freaking frack show, and
I do.
Yeah. So how old were you during your, let's call it, Disney days, right?
Yeah. How old was it? What was the question?
Yeah. How old were you?
I think I was 18 by the time that song came out.
I thought you were like 14.
I know, me too.
those are now good problems to have. Now, I mean, you know, now that I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It was weird. It was weird because when I made my record, I was like 14, 15, like 18. And it didn't come out for so long that by the time it did, I felt like I had kind of grown out of it. And even with like Up, 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 I felt like I had kind of grown out of it. And
At 18 years old, singing that song, Rose.
I
Okay,
wasn't feeling it.
I'll give you a hall pass for that. I'll give you a pass.
Thank
I thought you were really 14, so I was like, wait, how could you be grown up? I mean, it's a fun song, but 18 years old, jumping on a bed. No.
Signing with Disney. So like the last 4 people we've had on, their career, or I guess, not career, but their takeoff started with Disney.
Right.
And they always have a different story of what that's like. Did you have to go through hoops and bounds with Disney, or did you just do that and then move on?
Well, I was signed actually to Columbia, and this was just like a 1-song thing where they had the publishing on this song, and so that's where their interest was on it. So I don't know how that worked, legally and all that, but no, I didn't have to do like a bunch of stuff with or for Disney. It was awesome. Like the opportunity they gave me and the fact that like it allowed me, like I said, to be financially free and do what I wanted to do was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they always take good care of people from what we hear. I mean, everybody that talks about them says, they were set. Yeah, they're set after that because of like that. They kind of had that hold, them and Nickelodeon on that demographic in that time frame.
Right.
Them and MTV. Those were the big 3, right? That's all you had. That's all we did. Since times have changed so much, like Caleb and I had an episode just kind of take off the other day because of Hulu and the Janet Jackson series.
That's cool.
So, and all of a sudden, we got all these from the Janet Jackson documentary that she did on Hulu. Mm-hmm. And we had one of her, exes, Renee, on. And when she talked about him, they YouTubed him. So how has that kind of changed the game for you? The whole internet blow up. How has that changed for you?
Yeah. Well, what has changed for me that's cool is like, so my husband and I started doing a project together. It's called Rod and Rose. And I feel like because of all the streaming services and because everybody has so much freedom now to kind of like, really the point is to just release a lot of music, like great music, hopefully, but like as much as you can, because people just want more and more songs, right? So bands like, there's like Miranda Lambert, but then there's the Pistol Annies, and then there's like Maren Morris, and there's the Highwomen. And so because of all the freedom of, the internet and the streaming services, we're able to do this project, even though we each, are artists on our own. It's been amazing. That's been amazing.
Yeah. And the interactions with fans, I think, has gotten a lot. That's one big thing to come from all this is to be able to interact with somebody from, we talked to people from Jakarta and I didn't even know where that was, I have no idea, but I know she gets up in the middle of the night to watch our episodes when we go live.
That's so cool.
They're just incredible. It's incredible. You can interact with people and then they feel like, you feel like you have a relationship with these people. And I guess I kind of want to go back to, your not craziest, but the most, sentimental fan interactions that you've had.
Oh, Lord.
Hard-hitting questions off the top of the head.
The most sentimental interaction that I've had.
Just your biggest memory.
The thing I think of like right off the top of my head was the man that used to come I also I had another record deal after the Columbia thing happened on a label called Show Dog, and put out an EP called 19th Avenue. And during that, I was playing at what's called, I don't know if y'all know what CMA Fest is.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's got CMA in it.
Yeah. The CMA Fest, it's a big thing here in Nashville. And there was just this one little guy that would come every year, and he would like whittle this little animal and paint it and like bring it. And he'd bring me pictures of me from the previous year. I'm like, people love bringing you pictures of yourself. It's like, I don't want any more pictures of myself. But but the little whittled animals are so cute. I love them.
Oh, well, now we know what to bring her, right?
Yeah, bring me little animals.
Little wood. How do we do that? I don't know how to whittle anything, Caleb.
Truthfully, what I was going to say earlier about Up 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 is that
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how popular it was until I started noticing it on TikTok. Because I guess the TikTok age,
Really?
I was like, what? Like, all these kids are like core memory unlocked. I'm like, okay. So that was like very awesome. A bunch of fan interaction on that. And it
Yeah.
was like, wow. They were finally able to tell me, what they wanted to tell me about that song that they couldn't have, told, or they may have tried on a message board or something, but it wasn't quite the same,
Yeah.
So that was super cool, because I truly had no idea.
It was definitely popular. I can tell you that in my household, it was. I used to record everything on VHS. Remember those things?
Yeah.
And it was really. I just remember always seeing it on Disney Channel. Period, especially for promote. I know they were promoting the movie, but
Mhm.
when I think of Inspector Gadget 2, I don't think of anything else but Up Up Up. I don't like. In fact, I can't even tell you anything about the movie because all I remember is that song.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
That's
But like you said, things are a little different back then. Back then, there was no tweeting. There was no. There was billboards and different charts and things.
Yeah.
But nowadays, when something goes viral, right? We all know about it.
Right.
Whether it's a trend on TikTok, whether it's a music video, it's a movie, a scene, an interview of Charlie Sheen going crazy, we know about it instantly. But I guess, at that time, which I know there was internet, there was You Got Mail, AOL, but I guess at the time they're just, like I said, there was message boards, but there wasn't much of anything else,
Yeah.
So at that time, were you touring?
Yeah, I was. And yeah, I could see, obviously, like when I played at Disney, it was amazing when I'd start playing that song, like people would come running, from all parts of the park. Like,
I was there.
You were. It was cool. It was cool. Buzz Lightyear stage. It was cool because it like came up out of the ground.
Wow.
And it was so cool to like just go to Disney and get to go to the front of all the lines and just like spend the week there. It was amazing. But yeah, I knew the song was popular. That's kind of like a stretch to say I didn't know it was popular.
You just didn't realize how big.
What I didn't know is that beyond just being like a silly song that people liked, that it was actually like special to them somehow. And I actually kind of felt bad because I was like, I just was a little bit embarrassed about this part of my life because I felt like the song is so cute and silly and like we strive here in Nashville to kind of be deep and, to do something so brand new.
Yeah.
But that song brings people enjoyment, joy, happiness, and their mom would wake them up in the morning with it or whatever moments. Thinking of that song, usually you're not like driving around crying over your ex-boyfriend or something. You're usually like people have good memories of it.
Yeah.
And I need to appreciate that. And that made me feel proud of it, of something that I was maybe didn't really want to talk about, before.
Whoops.
No. I'm like totally cool with it now.
Yeah.
I actually made a TikTok about this, what we're talking about. So I did a reenactment of the video with my kids and just talked about how I used to be embarrassed of it, and now I think it's cool.
I mean, I was a young kid. In 2004, I was, I don't know, 11, maybe 12, and maybe 10. I don't know. But I was a very young kid, and I thought it was the greatest song ever at the time. I thought it was a lot of fun. And like you said, you would not be crying. This is a song you can't be crying while it's playing because it is just so up. It is just a uppity up song. And at that time, Disney was rocking those. Like, it was like, back to back to back bangers for years and years. And I don't know what they do now, but it's usually all auto-tuned. And it's really, really bad, in my opinion. It's like auto-tune.
Right.
But yeah, it's it was definitely very, very big from everybody that I knew. And like I said, it's the only memorable thing about the movie. So hats off to you for doing that.
You talked about being on tour. I mean, is there places that you haven't been yet that you just love to go?
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to spend more time overseas. I haven't been to London. I haven't been to a lot of places in Europe that I'd like to. I haven't been to Italy. I'm Italian. I'd like to go there. I feel like I've been to a lot of places in the US.
Yeah.
Like you see all the small towns,
Like Nebraska.
Sorry?
Like Nebraska.
My dad and I played a house concert in Nebraska that was pretty epic.
Wow.
A house concert.
We used to do that together. We used to play these house concerts. Have you ever heard of one? Really?
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys should have a freaking Frag house concert.
Yeah.
We should. With Rose singing Up, Up, Up.
All right.
Acoustic.
Your first ever. I'm there. So we actually are. I'm doing a string of dates at City Winery, and I think I'm going to do a small portion of Up, Up, Up.
Oh, I'll go if you do it.
All right.
But it has to be the whole thing.
Oh, damn thing. All right.
Yeah. So I what are you doing these days? What's coming up next for you?
Sure. Well, I am a mom. I have 2 kids. One is 2 and one is 4. So they're amazing. They're a handful all at the same time. And so I am raising these boys and I'm writing songs. And Rodney and I just put out this record. It's an EP. It's called Rod and Rose. And so we are going to be touring with that, and we're going to continue making that music.
Yeah. Yeah. So we won't hold you for much longer. This has been incredible, but working through the pandemic, parenting, the whole 9 yards. I know people hate talking about it, but it interests me. Everybody did it different. What was it like at your guys' household?
We're both kind of introverted. If we're not on the road, we're kind of just wanting to be home and with our family. Yeah. So I hate to say it because it's not that interesting, but we were not that different. We kind of did our thing.
What I said.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm home, if I'm not on the road, you're not going to find me I'm going to the bar. It's not going to happen. I go to work Friday, but 2 Charlie's. No, I don't work.
I was like, what?
Amazing, wouldn't it?
Mustard stains.
No. I go to work. I write songs, a few days a week, and I come home, and then I go on the road. So I love what I do. I think when you love what you do, it doesn't, feel like work. And there's no really line between what's work and what's home. And we're always in the studio at home. Rodney will be in there working. I'll be saying, I like that. I don't like that, or whatever, We've always got a record in progress. So I love it.
Yeah. I think that Caleb and I talk about it quite a bit. When you enjoy doing something, like you said, it just kind of comes natural, and you find a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible ride for us, but looking at you, Rose, it's been an incredible ride. Just seeing you grow, even though apparently you were 18. So you claim. It's been an incredible ride seeing where you are today with your beautiful sons and and a husband who loves you, and
Yeah.
we absolutely adore that. We absolutely adore seeing you striving, all this time later. I won't say how long it's been, but if you do the math, you can figure it out. But like all this time later,
It's so weird when you start when you're that young. You feel
yeah,
when I was like 25 and working on my second record deal, I felt ancient. Like you just feel
yeah.
so old and weary. It's nuts. It's so crazy, but I wouldn't change it.
Yep. That's kind of, we always ask people, if you could give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be, knowing what you know now? But I think you just kind of hit it on the head. I don't foresee that you would change very much.
No, I mean, my thing has always been just people always ask me, what's your advice for someone who wants to do music? They'll say, and I'll say, just don't have a plan B. And I think that like if I would have had a plan B, I would have fallen back on it because it's so hard, to be a musician. But because I didn't, I always find another way, to make music and to keep doing what I love.
Yeah, we love it too. It's cool.
Yeah. Yes, we do. I want to ask you one last thing, and it's very important that we get this question asked every single time, but it's always great because it's a different answer.
Mm-hmm.
But what was your experience of the 90s, and what do you miss most about the 90s? Except pagers. We've heard that a few times.
Yeah.
I truly if I could go back, I definitely would not want to have a phone because I miss not having a phone. I miss everyone else around me not having phones. Because we're so distracted. I definitely know, I used to write poetry in a book, now I'm writing in my notes in my iPhone, and it's not as, it doesn't have that romance to it. It's not as pure. The written word is so important, and really, writing it down on paper.
Yeah.
Sometimes I text so much, I'll go to write with a pen, and it's you forget how to spell things because it's easy to spell it with your thumb for some reason, but not with a pencil. It's
definitely
ridiculous. So I'm working on that right now, just to kind of be, in the moment and not be thinking about somebody who is, sending me a message when somebody's sitting right in front of me trying to talk to me.
Yeah.
That is what I miss.
I miss those times because I helped raise two of my nieces, and beautiful girls, man. But you know what? Those phones are just trouble. Especially when they were younger. Now one's almost 19, so I can't do anymore. But I used to say no phones. We're going to this restaurant. We're going to this convention. We're going wherever. Give me your phones. Give me your tablets. We're going to talk. We're going to communicate with each other. Absolutely. And I remember one time, she was probably 12 or 13. She broke down because she didn't know how to talk to another human being.
Oh my gosh.
And without a phone.
Right.
And thankfully she's, kind of helped with that and just guided her and kind of told her, when you see someone, go speak to them, go have a conversation. Truthfully, that's always my answer, even though I've never said it like that. But my answer is I miss having a conversation, a true, genuine conversation where people, in their right or left hand didn't have a phone and they weren't holding it. They were free-handed and just, spoke to one another, like when neighbors would speak to another. A lot of things have been taken away with social media and with cell phones and internet, period. But communication was really, really big in the 90s, and I guess you can say it's a little less important nowadays.
Yeah, and it takes away from the art and music too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. There's just it's oversaturated with people who think it's easy or think that they can just get on there and sing one song and then
with auto-tune.
Well, some days I appreciate it, and some days I don't.
Yeah.
But I learned to adjust and just have to make sure my kids, aren't just totally obsessed. And put limits on them. That's all we can do, right? Is take care of our families and ourselves and just do the best we can with that.
It's my life goal to save a whole generation. And people keep telling me I'm crazy, but I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can in the community, helping the youth when I can. I just
awesome.
I don't want to be on this planet when I no longer can walk or do the essential things and then have a bunch of people that are running, our place like idiots. That's so we can do what we can, now set that layer.
It's like it's like Captain Planet, doing your part, man. 90s reference,
Man,
Rose.
all the
that?
heroes you can compare me to. Captain Planet.
How old am I? 29.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
33 in my co-host, my friend, my co-creator just compared me to Captain Planet. The worst hero you could have compared me to.
We weren't alive for that much of the 90s. Not really a long time.
I mean, I was very young, but it was so, if I had to choose, of course, I'd live in the 90s or early 2000s. I mean, there was just so many things that were, so much things that were better. And I knew once the iPhone came out, I knew, being a tech guy, even at that time, young as I was, I knew this was a sort of a big change, a big rift, a big division. And look at us now. But guess what? We're all here tonight together. So, it's okay, but it's just weird the way the world has changed. Let's just say 20 years, 20 years, 20 years ago, early 2000s versus now, it's a big difference,
Absolutely.
I just want some things to come back.
I think so too, especially now that we don't have as much freedom to,
Yeah, it's true.
I
want to say this before we let you go, Rose. We really appreciate artists, like yourself, like your husband, who are just, I don't want to say legitimate, but who are keeping
humble, kind, down to earth.
Yeah, well, but also who are keeping, songwriting on top of their list. Whether it's, you guys write from experience, like you said about your grandmother and things like that. It is amazing to meet a songwriter and an artist doing that kind of stuff. Because nowadays, the things we hear on the radio, I don't have to tell you, most of it's just cringy, which, by the way, I haven't used the radio in probably 10 years, but Spotify all the way, but, up on repeat. I just want to say, we have a huge appreciation for you and your husband. And,
Thank you.
It means a lot that you've come on our show. I know it's the craziest thing. Like I said, the thought of contacting you just came from me singing Up, Up, Up the other night. And it was probably within 30 seconds. I was like, let me find her. Again, thanks to social media, that this whole thing was possible.
It has its moments, right?
It has its moments when I can find people and they're like, yeah, let's talk about Up, Up, Up.
Lastly, my daughter keeps asking me for a phone. She's 8, so just keep that in mind. But she keeps telling me everybody in her class has one. It's like the last barrier, I can't. First of all, she's 8, so there's that. But I can't get myself. I don't care what everybody. I tell her, I'm like, I'm not their dad. Like that.
Right.
I don't care what whoever is doing. Like that's it for us, you know. Not it for us, but like that's the last thing besides driving, you know. It's just like I'm not ready yet, I guess.
Someone told me the other day their kid had like a watch that you could like call them on.
There's like a gizmo, and I keep telling her that, and you know, I mean, I can track you and call you.
I'm like,
anyway, hey, we appreciate you. You know, it's like Caleb said, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show and to watch your career, you know, grow. It's amazing.
Yeah, if there's anything we can ever do for you, Rose, if you have you know, albums, if you have anything, singles, whatever coming out, we love to promote our guests, even 5 years later down the line, whatever. Like we just, you know, you taking the time to be with us means the world to us. And
absolutely, you guys are awesome. I mean, look, I like the for the fans, by the fans. That's one thing I miss. There's not enough fans anymore because everybody thinks they're a star, right? So
it's so weird, you know. The other day, I had gotten an email and from a Comic Con who, you know, I'm going to be putting a booth for the frickin' Frack Show at this big convention coming up, and they said, you know, the one question he asked me on the phone was, he said, "What are your demands?" And I said, "Oh, wait." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you know, you need your hotel paid for. You want this, you want that, you want pineapple, but no cherries on a tray, you know." And I was just like, "Hold on, buddy." I said, "We're not celebrities. We're not stars." I said, "We're just people." I said, "You know, we just want to be there with the fans and just hang out with everybody." I said, "I have no demands because I can't demand something like that."
But you know what? To me, we're all children of God. That's my
absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't never think you're better than anybody else. No matter what you get, no matter, you know, what you accomplish, we're all children of God. We all matter, and that is so important.
It is, and it's a very forgotten term. You know, term there because you know, I don't know. Like to me, I'm just a human, just like you. You know, and I'm just as, you know, I could have wrote the greatest song in the world. You know, I could have wrote, you know, Bill and Ted song, 80s reference. But you know, I could have been the one that saved the universe with that one song. But it doesn't make me any greater or any less than what we are together. You know.
I'm in total agreement with you.
Do you remember Bill and Ted?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Party time.
Ah,
I remember Beavis and Butthead. I wasn't even. Oh my gosh! See, my dad wouldn't even let me watch Beavis and Butthead. Don't get your daughter a phone.
Come on, no.
And she'll watch this too, and she'll know. She'll watch this. She'll watch this on her iPad with her brother, and she's like, I'm like, that's the same thing as a phone. You're watching this, you know. Whatever though, it's a principle of it.
Yep. No, it's fine. It's fine.
We appreciate you. Hey, next time they ask you that, Caleb, tell them we won't mind some keto ice cream, maybe a Rebels or two, you know, in the booth. That'd be all right. Anyways, just kidding. Just kidding.
All right. Thank you, guys.
We love you guys. Yep. Have a good night. Thank you for coming on. Hey, this is a podcast for the fans, by the fans.
Whoa!
Peace.
It's the freaking Frack Show, a podcast